Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome to The Secret to Everything. I am Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and as usual, I am so happy to be with you today, tonight, wherever and whenever you are listening. And I have my good friend, you may know her as Lori Wynn. She helps me out from time to time. Sometimes I interview her, and sometimes she will be interviewing me, which is kind of going to be the case today. We are so excited, and I'll introduce her officially in a few minutes, but we are so excited to talk about this very, very timely topic. And this topic is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do. We're going to be talking about paranormal, and we're going to be talking about the spiritual warfare, and you guys may even get to hear some stories that I've never told about my experiences and my own life with the paranormal. And why do I think this is such a timely topic? Well, we'll go into that in a little bit after the next commercial break. But right now I want to talk about the current energy. It has been such a ride over the last couple of weeks, mostly politically, but the planets have been taking us on a bit of the ride as well. We've had this amazing, super moon energy that we're still coming off of, which is so expansive and in creation and just moves us into places we've always wanted to go. But we've also kind of had the Scorpio energy, which is so dark and so final and so deadening. And it's been kind of a tug of war, and you get to kind of pick and choose. The good news is there's great things about both aspects that we've been experiencing. Sometimes endings are the best thing that could ever happen to you. I remember I was married for about, maybe 10 or 11 years. And honestly, I did everything in my power to avoid a divorce. But when I made the decision to end that marriage, I felt like a new woman. Doors open, the angels sang, heaven came down on earth. But there was such a freedom. And so for 10 years of living in that oppression and being so afraid of this horrific thing called divorce, that ending, that very, very final ending of that marriage and that relationship and that life that we were building turned out to be one of many of the best things that have ever happened to me. So we can't always look at the death of something or a door closing or relationship ending or being fired from a job as a negative thing. And so even a regime change in politics in America, is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? I think it's brought up so many new possibilities of new directions to go, regardless of who appears to be in control in the White House. We have a lot of new information that's been revealed. Again, that Scorpio energy. It's going to reveal secrets and lies. And that's what we've been seeing over the past really couple weeks and couple months is the revealing of secrets and lies. And what does that mean for us? Have you had anything revealed to you in your life or your relationships? Is there a change that you would like to make using the new supermoon now coming into a new moon soon energy? Really, really empowering stuff. And so this is the time for breakthroughs. This is the time to commit to a new change in direction. And how amazing that it's at the end of this year. And it's that time when we look back and we reflect and we evaluate and we see what's working and what's not working. Everything is about completion. The finality, the weaving together, the coming together, complete healing. Where are you at with projects? Where are you at in your career? Where are you at in your goals and your life essence and your purpose and on your path? Have you taken time to sit down and evaluate that? And, moving through our fear and moving into the unknown of a new year, it really opens up this magical space of not only transformation, but of expansion. I kind of want you guys to feel that. Be flexible, be willing to hear, to see, to know, to feel new information as we go into this new year. Be willing to become a different human and have a different way of doing things. Refuse to blindly follow anything, whether it's the news or whether it's what your family says or your spouse says or your friends do. Really gather down deep into your power center and decide, what do you want? Draw a line in the sand. What do you desire to create going forward into this last month and into the new year? There's a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of good vibes out there. What is important to you? What do you know that you need to do? What do you know? Find your power and stand behind it. We'll be right back talking about the covering, the paranormal, spiritual warfare with Lori Wynn.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Welcome back to The Secret to Everything. I am Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and I am here with Lori Wynn. Lori Wynn is an author, and she does a lot of things with love and drumming and rhythm, and we'll be interviewing her in an upcoming interview. But today I'm kind of going to hand it over to her, and she's going to start us off interviewing me.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. It's great to be with you again. And, you know, the energy update that you gave us in the first segment just really resonated with me in such a way. And I can just relate to all of those things that you said. I actually felt like I was in a process with you because it rang so true. And I understand I know The Secret to Everything has many, many programs, but you are doing something very different and sharing and teaching something that you haven't done publicly. Can you tell us what that subject is and why you're doing it? I mean, I know it's for such a time as this, so to speak.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that expression. I actually teach, as you know, that, each one of us is here at this time in history for a specific, powerful purpose using our gifts and abilities. And I just think it's time to really weave a skillful thread through the topics of paranormal and politics and spiritual warfare. And one of the things, as you know, and I talk about this a lot, that we see in our groups is we run literally thousands of scans a month. Oh my goodness, it gets so crazy. But we see, and let's talk about this a little bit because it'll lead into, some more subjects, but we see a lack of what's called energetic protection or aura protection. And that comes up again and again and again. And even I, playing in this realm and seeing energy and working with frequency and energy for so many years, Lori, even I sometimes forget, especially if I'm in my home and someone kind of unexpectedly comes in. Your home is your castle and your fortress and you feel safe. But even I forget that there's this active part to energetic protection or aura protection, and that frequency and energy we think is this invisible thing, like that money that whizzes in and out of our bank accounts. I was so tickled the other day, Lori, I got to tell you, I have this bank app on my phone, and they're like, guess what? You don't have to come to the bank and deposit your checks. Like, who uses checks anymore, right? You can take
Right.
you can take a picture. Oh my gosh. Like, you can take a picture, Lori. Like, that blows
Make
my
it
mind.
easy for you. Make it easy for you. Well,
Well,
when you say protection, what do you
yeah.
mean? Like, what does that actually mean in the practical world of why we live?
Yeah, why
What
would
does
we
that
need
mean, the
protection
protection?
from energy or frequencies? Well, because energy and frequencies are things. They're avatars, they're thought forms, they become things, they are things. And so people hook into us. I use an example. There's actually someone I know really well, and she's with a person, a guy. And when I look at her field, her aura protection is non existent. And when I look at other things, there's a lot of attachment, there's a lot of hooking in. And this particular person that she lives with taps her, Lori, and literally drains her energy. And we don't think that people can come into our energy field and use our frequency, because really we're frequency generators, we're frequency receivers, and we can be tapped into. We're electrical beings. So, number one, I would say, and I think you would agree, we kind of need to be on guard even from our loved ones, from tapping into us, exhausting us, riding us, draining us, blocking us, cording with us. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, what do you do, like, if you do feel somebody draining you, even just a conversation with a friend that's going through crisis, or clients that, just want to hang on every word, and you leave their presence very drained? What do you do to either combat that passively or aggressively, or release it? How do you do that?
And that's what we'll be talking about in the covering. And there are things you can do, and we can share some things in a minute. I think, first of all, I would like to be more proactive. And since we do see so many people just flippantly running around their day, not realizing they're energetic beings, not realizing they have 12 layers of an auric field to protect, I would like to see us not get to that point. I would like to see us be able to strengthen our auric field, or have a strong enough protection that we don't allow that. And if we do, it's by choice. Sometimes you're comforting someone and you want to give them. Have you ever heard someone say, I wish I could give them my strength, or give someone your energy? You can actually do that. And that can be by choice, versus that more vampire like energy when people are like, oh, she's a happy person, give me some of that. Or she's a high energy person, I want some of that. So I would rather see that be a definite choice and a protection. But if it does happen, there's a million, trillion, zillion things you can absolutely do to change that. One of the simplest thing, and I teach about this a lot, and you guys probably heard other people teach about this, is water. I was just at a retreat, and we were doing a lot of hands-on healing, and we were with a lot of energy, and we were pushing a lot of energy and pulling a lot of energy and dispersing and sharing a lot of energy. And the first thing I would do when I had my hands, on the table, on someone's body or over someone's body, is I would go wash my hands. And that water instantly starts to kind of demagnetize and pull out those particles and separate your energy from the lower density energy, or the energy of another person. Water, there's a reason water's been featured really magically throughout history, through all cultures. Water is super powerful, and we're, again, electrical. And water, as we know, conducts electricity really, really well. And we're like, what, 70, 80% water. So it all kind of makes sense and goes together that we would go to water, not just for cleansing of our body and our energy field, but Sarah actually called me, my daughter, on some of the jewelry that I wear. She's like, Mom, did you clean your jewelry after the retreat? And I'm like, oh, no. So again, what do? Sunshine, light is also a very good cleanser, both of your energy field and your auric field, as well as things that you wear, your clothes or your jewelry. Jewelry is very important to clean because you wear it a lot and it's very up close to you and in your field. So, I dumped all my jewelry, which is where it is right now, in some salt water in the sun, because I'm always overkill, Lori. I'm always like, let's do it all.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because I use crystals a lot. I wear a lot of crystals. And is that what's considered passive protection for your auric field?
Ooh, that's such a great question.
Or is it just...
Yeah. Good question. Really good question. I'm going to give you kind of a tricky answer, though. We are highly individual and everything matters. Meaning, if we bring a certain crystal, a quartz or carnelian or obsidian or whatever you want to bring into your field, or an emerald or a diamond, you are going to react differently in your body, in your auric field is going to react differently from mine. It is entirely possible that if you're not energy sensitive or you're not using tech like we have, that you are actually plopping things on your neck and your ears and your headband and your wedding ring that is weakening you or draining your energy on a consistent basis. So anything we bring in our field is either going to what? Balance us, weaken us, or strengthen us. So there is kind of a neutral effect that, doesn't really do anything negative, but also doesn't do anything crazy positive. So first of all, I would ask you, Lori, are you 100% positive that everything, and I would ask everyone in the audience this, are you 100% positive that everything you're bringing into your field is raising your frequency or strengthening you, your physical body, your mind, your emotions, and your energy field?
Well, that's the intention. I do a lot of research. So when I find a crystal or a gem that I know that raises my frequency, I'll put it on my body. I'll try to feel it, and I'll either get a yes or a no. And I don't wear the same jewelry all the time, and I cleanse it regularly. So I think I'm doing passive protection. I don't know. Am I?
And you're intuitive, and a lot of people are intuitive. And, usually if you're drawn to something, if you go to a jewelry store, you're looking at a catalog, or you're online, or you're looking at your friend's jewelry and you're like, oh, that's so pretty, and it's rose quartz. 9 times out of 10, you need that right now, or you're drawn to that magnetically for a reason. So you're probably pretty dead on with that. And absolutely, that is a form of passive protection. Gems in general, unless they're dirty gems, which is a whole nother subject, haven't been cleaned or, possibly, a lot of times, and this is a huge subject we talk about a lot, and we will talk about in some other classes. It's probably not the covering, but, diamond industry is a huge controversy. Actually, jewelry is a huge controversy, period, because it's so what? It's so overinflated and overpriced. And most people know that. And how do we know that? Because if you've ever in your life, usually in your young 20s, gone to sell some piece of jewelry at a pawn shop or online or to a friend, what are they going to say? What are you going to get? Like 2 cents on the dollar, right?
Right. And it was somebody else's too. So their energy is attached to it. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great point. And even, like I was saying, putting my hands in someone else's energy, jewelry especially, but not only clothing. Let's even think about your grandma's couch. So many people will be like, oh, I love that couch. And your grandma moves or she passes and you're like, let's stick that in my home. Let's think about it. Let's think about it from an energetic frequency perspective. That couch has what? Has every single person's voice recorded in it that's ever been in around that couch, from the time it was made till the time you received it. And we don't think of objects being recorders, but we've had the technology for over 50 years, probably hundreds of years, and they just haven't told us, where we can tune to the frequency of, let's say, your grandma's voice and pull every single conversation out of that couch. Well, who cares, right? we do care. Why? Because everything matters. Because everything in our environment is broadcasting its frequency or its
Frequency.
combination of frequencies into what? Into your pet's energy field, into your energy field, into your house's energy field, right? And so that can either be a
Right.
super positive thing, right? If your grandma was an
That's
amazing, kind, loving,
right.
spiritual, connected person, or it could be a
But if
super
she was a
negative.
crotchety old witch, that energy's there too, right? So
Absolutely.
that makes it that much more interesting for what you're teaching, because it seems like everything that we do has an effect, a cause and an effect in our energy field. So I would like you to kind of tell us why you haven't really taught this before.
Yeah, that's a great question and a great one to, talk about before we go to the commercial break, because I'll tell you why. The bold, honest answer is I haven't really been allowed to, because the things I know are super advanced. It's not just stuff about spiritual warfare. It's like super advanced spiritual warfare training, which is what we're subtitling this program. And there's a lot of things we can do. But before we get to, some of the positive things we've talked about now, which we'll be teaching tons of different stuff, plus giving you guys actual MP3s and tools, but I need to tell you the first stuff. And the first stuff, which is what I haven't really been allowed to teach, which is a lot of the nitty gritty of energies and entities and demons and angels and reptilians and on, all these energies and creatures and things that I've come in contact with and that my friends have come in contact with and that I've worked with people over, 27 years, working with people that are spiritually oppressed and possessed. So that's the stuff I've never been allowed really to share until now. And it's a little bit troubling that all of a sudden I'm allowed to teach everything and tell everything. What does that say to me? It says there's a
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge, breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back to The Secret to Everything. I am Dr. Kimberly McGeorge here with Lori Wynn, and we are talking about my new class, The Covering. We're talking about energy. We're talking about aura protection. Gosh, Lori, what aren't we talking about?
There's a lot. There is a lot. I'll tell
There is.
you.
I feel like I
This-
can't talk
this
fast
whole-
enough.
But this whole election brought, and what you were talking about, the planet changing and rotating and bringing new energy, this all brought up a whole bunch of just everything, demons, angels, like you were talking about, spiritual warfare. And I really want to get into that and know why you're being released to share this with the public now.
And it's funny because today it always happens like this. It's so cool. But a couple weird things happened today. Not too weird, but one of my friends, and you guys will, if you hang out with me long enough, you'll hear about my friends, and we'll talk about them later possibly. But one of them sent me a picture, and I'm sure the audience and some of you are familiar with a little game called the Illuminati card game. And that's been around forever. And it's supposedly, I'm doing air quotes with my fingers, it predicts things that are going to happen, which sounds all mystical. But, if you guys listen to this network and you guys listen to shows like this, you probably know it's not as mystical and magical as it appears. However, the card they sent me was a picture of the Capitol building with demons in the air all around it, basically saying, they're bringing chaos. Can you guys just feel the weight of that? Like, that is so appropriate. Now, I'm not saying, I know you guys are going to jump and think I'm saying something I'm not. I could care less who's in there. It could be Trump. It could be a Bush. It could be a Clinton. It could be you name any name. I don't care, because it is my belief that it's not even, we like to throw around the word elite. It's not even the elite that are manipulating and pulling the strings. It's what? It's unseen forces. And if you guys have ever heard anything about spiritual warfare, or ever, heard someone really talk about this topic, there's a little Bible verse that says what? It says, "For we wrestle not against what? Flesh and blood, but against
right.
all." And then it goes through, and
Spiritual.
actually, yep. Spiritual forces in high places,
Principalities, right.
on and on and on. And what is it doing as it lists those things? There's actually demons of bodies of water, as crazy as that sounds. There's demons over areas. There's demons over groups of people. There's other things other than demons, which we're going to be getting into in the covering. And this is a big subject. So there's no way we're going to be able to cover it or reveal it, on this show. But I hope we're making you guys curious. And even, it's so frustrating to me, Lori, because my whole life I have seen the unseen. So to me, it's normal. But that's not normal. It's more normal now, with all the paranormal shows and with all the horror movies. And I think, I make a joke, as you know, Lori, I say, people are like, oh, the veil is thin. And you hear all these mystics and psychics and crypto people.
There is no veil.
Yeah, I always say, that's my new thing. I'm like, what do you mean? It's not thin. It's non-existent. It's non-existent, and even like that card shows. And we can talk a little bit. We just came through Halloween, or we can talk about Christmas, or we can talk about the holy days of, Satanism. We can go wherever you guys want to, but basically there's days and times and seasons where, kind of the pit of hell. If you've ever watched a show, like I always tell people, they're like, well, what should I watch if I want to learn about this stuff? And they laugh when I say Supernatural and Charmed, two of the best shows. And you guys think those are so far out. Those are so dead on. They're not far out.
I was going to say they're more real than the television that's on reality TV.
Yeah, it's more real than the evening news on CNN. You're going to get more truth out of either of those shows, as corny as they are, as sometimes they are, especially Charmed. But, there's these seasons, and we just came through one. We just came through, Halloween, where literally the gates open, and people know, even normal people that aren't into this stuff know that if you yank out a Ouija board right on Halloween, you're going to have a better shot at contacting a spirit or contacting the dead, and I'm putting that in air quotes, than other times of the year, because there's so much energy and prayer,
activity too.
Yeah, from the dark side.
Activity.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I know a lot of people, as you know, Lori, that have come out of Satanism and that are still in Satanism, which always surprises people. But people are people.
One foot in, one foot out.
Or both feet in. But we won't get into that. But, it's so funny because a lot of people, it used to be an age-old custom in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And when I was growing up, you would go to a restaurant, particularly in the South, and we actually still see it around here because I live in the South. But you'd go in a restaurant, and if you saw a family, what would they do before their food came? They would what? They would pray.
They pray.
And bless their food. Right, Lori? Well, you don't see that as much anymore.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
No.
It's unfortunate because our meat is so traumatized. If we're not eating organic and we're not eating local, it has the frequencies and emotions of of hideous eating, of abuse, possibly. There's a lot of stuff going. There's even stuff that we're getting meat that's been I don't want to get into some really tricky stuff, but there's also, we've heard news stories of meat that's been dedicated to other maybe religions than we believe in, possibly, or other gods that we believe in. It's so funny because that was being done like thousands of years ago, and it's so funny that people still dedicate. I mean, it's not funny, ironic or sarcastic.
It never left. It never
left. Right. But we're eating that meat. So yeah, it's great if you guys have the same belief or the same God, but what if you don't? That's very violating to your soul, to your spirit, to your energy field, and even to your body. It's going to lower the frequency of your body. So one of the things we can do that's so simple for spiritual protection is you don't have to believe in God to do this. We bless and cleanse our food. You can do this as you carry in your groceries or the car. What can we do? We can play 528. We can play the frequency of love. We can speak love, as crazy as it sounds, over our food. And one thing about this time of year that people don't know, that I know from my friends that are former Satanists and current Satanists and witches, and I'm not throwing everybody in the same thing because some witches aren't Satanists, some Satanists aren't witches, but some are. It gets really messy. But
it gets complicated.
But what they do that we don't do in our little oblivious, we live in this happy fairy world. We really live in more of an Alice in Wonderland world, but we think we live in a happy fairy world for some reason, even though we kind of know we don't. But when they walk the grocery store aisles, what do? They curse. What do they curse? The Halloween candy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Why did they do that?
When your children, see, you have to take the class. You'll learn interesting things you never knew. But what happens? So we take that Now we take that cursed item, that low density, that low frequency item into our body. But what's worse? What's worse than us eating it, Lori? What do we do with that Halloween candy?
Having it to our children. And giving it to our children.
And other people's children. Who wants to hand out cursed candy? And you guys are like, oh, you guys are so full of it. It's so crazy. You guys got to start studying frequencies, start studying Tesla, start studying Vol, start studying the basics of the quantum physics universe that we live in. This is more truth than you will ever learn in any classroom in college or graduate school, elementary school, in any country in the world. If you start understanding frequency and why everything matters, and you start being very, very careful of what you allow into your home, of what you allow into your bodies and your children's eyes, ears, mouth, energy field, guess what? It's not just negative, as you know, Lori, it becomes super cool and super empowering because we can make positive choices. And as we can avoid the negative and we can bring in the positive. So even if we are bringing in crappy GMO food, which I hope you guys aren't, or meat that we don't know where it came from the supermarket, even if we are, we can still kind of change the essence of that overall frequency and turn it into positive. And we just don't think, or maybe we don't care that we have that much control. But when do we care, Lori? We do care when the doctor says you have diabetes and you have to take insulin the rest of your life.
Right.
Right. When they
or
you have
when you
breast
start
cancer,
getting your
right?
health issues, right? You get your
Or-
health issues because you're feeding yourself poison, basically, and you don't really even know that. But how do people become more conscious and more aware? Because, over the last couple of weeks, I've just noticed how Americans and the whole world has been desensitized, and it's okay to do certain things. And so how do we become more aware? How does your class help us become more aware?
That's a good question, but what do you mean by desensitized to certain things? Were you thinking about something specific?
In general, like it's okay to do certain things in this country now, and it's just okay. Nothing seems to be an urgency anymore. They're just kind of numbed. Everybody is, in my opinion, numbed and dumbed. And how do you make people more aware of what's going on?
Yeah. I think that goes back to a bigger problem, which is birth programming from the time you're in the womb. Because why? Because you're usually being born to parents that were programmed. So you're actually pre-programmed to be numb and dumb. I love that. I'm going to steal that, Lori. You're kind of pre-programmed to be numb and dumb through what? Through your DNA. Unless someone has gone in that understands quantum physics, understands frequency, understands that DNA is completely malleable, not just by scientists in a lab, but by each one of you. And you can start tweaking it. So when your children have children, it's much improved. Then what? You come in with all that genetic programming and all the beliefs and the thoughts and the emotions of your parents, particularly your mother.
Sounds like another show, Kim. It sounds like another show.
I know. We're going way down there. Yeah. And actually, we were going to do a program, but the time kind of passed, and this program dropped in to do instead about spiritual warfare and paranormal stuff. But this is just real stuff. And I wanted to kind of drop in some thoughts that you guys might not have thought about, changing the track just a little bit. So I guess to answer your question before I go into that, I would say you have to be awake or awakened. You have to be in, full control of what? Your own energy, your own mind, your own decisions in your own body, which thankfully we kind of still are. And we could get into some kind of dicey things about that. Because I guess what bothers me and disturbs me so much is there's been so many secrets, and actually the definition of, the word occult, everybody's like, oh, occult, that's a cult, that's dark. A cult isn't necessarily dark. A cult is what? It's that which has been hidden, or that which has been kept a secret over the years. And so there's things that have been going on for thousands of years that are still going on today that are actually being revealed, not just by me, but by many people for the first time. And we're not going to reveal them on this show because you talk about a way deep rabbit hole that we'd be going down for a long time. But we will be revealing them in this class. But these matter more than you could ever imagine. And you guys may be confused about some things about the paranormal and interdimensional reality and time travel and on and on. But when you get these few missing occult knowledge or secrets, it really falls into place like a really nice jigsaw puzzle. And you're like, I understand. Once you understand, you can kind of go forward in your life, be empowered, and do something about it.
That's awesome. And we were talking about some of your programs and awakening, and you do offer, which I know you're going to talk about a little later, the ultimate awakening, so people can start to get awakened and not walk around numb and dumb. So I just wanted to mention that too.
Yeah, I just love that so much. I'm seriously stealing that. No, and we'll be back with more about the covering. Who knows what we'll talk about? The occult, the paranormal, and the secret to everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge.
As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X-Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, an author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
You are here with The Secret to Everything and Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and we are talking with Lori Wynn about some of Secret to Everything's new and programs that are coming up, but we've gotten into just some really great discussion about a number of subjects, including energy, the paranormal, frequency, all sorts of things, right, Lori?
Yeah, and covering and protection, aura protection. And you said something about hidden secrets. That intrigued me. What one hidden secret can you divulge right now and kind of let everybody get a taste?
Ooh, you know, it's kind of a broad secret, but I'm still going to share it. And I'll share a little bit of how it applied in one story in my own life, which I'm not sure how much I've ever shared before, but there's this certain energy that once you have been touched or been introduced to darkness, lower density, lower frequency, some would call it evil, you're more vulnerable the next time when introduced to be drawn in. And I'm going to tell you a little story. So in college, everybody's stupid in college, right? Don't get offended. You guys know it's true. So
adventurous. I like to say adventurous.
Okay, you keep saying adventurous. I'm going to keep saying stupid. But
okay.
So in college, we're bored and all this, stuff. And I had this, friend group of guys and girls. And you guys have to remember, I saw spirits since I was super young and remote view and saw sorts of things. So this is old hat to me. So when they say, let's watch horror movies, I'm like, well, pretty much my life is half a horror movie. So who cares? So we started watching horror movies. We'd rent a couple horror movies. But what's really weird about it, Lori, is it became kind of like pornography. It wasn't pornography, but it was like horror porn because we started watching, I'm not kidding, like 5 to 8 movies a week. So there's 10 people watching 5 to 8 horror movies a week. Does that sound like a good idea to you, Lori?
No, it sounds like addiction to me.
Sounds like a really dark addiction. So then we got this idea, and I went to college. I'm not going to say where right now, but we went to college in the Fox River Valley, and the Fox River Valley is known for huge amounts of coven activity and witchcraft and Satanism and all this stuff. Well, it's outside of Chicago, so no surprise there. So we started messing around with dark and scary places because you kind of see the horror movies. It's just like pornography, kind of. You see it, not good enough. You want to go the next step. You want to do it. Ask Josh Jogger about that. But
you got pulled in. You got pulled in. Yeah,
exactly. So we started going to these scary places and messing around. Well, nothing really horrific happened. I mean, I can sense energy. So some of these places were really horrible. And so I ended up on the floor of the car saying, get me out of here or something like that. So nothing really crazy happened about that. But I'd say a couple weeks after we started watching all these horror movies, my roommate woke up. There were 2 people in a room, and my roommate woke up and she said, why is there something knocking in our closet? And I'm like, oh no, I knew immediately, Lori, because I've dealt with this my whole life. When I was just telling my girls this, when I was 5, I thought that furniture, this is so crazy, you guys, furniture was supposed to make noises. Like I thought all furniture tick-tocked or knocked. And if you guys, I know there's some of you out in the audience that know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's actually a common sign of demonic or haunted manifestation, but we won't, that's a whole nother show. But anyway, so my closet started knocking, and pretty soon a nice demonic dark hooded figure started appearing in my colleague's room. And I'm telling you, my roommate was not one of these 10 people that were watching horror movies, but you see how our behavior and what we expose ourselves to and what we play with affects what? Not just us, our spouses, our friends, our roommates, our pets, our homes.
And you open the door. You open the door to your home to bring it in.
That's where I was going. Who thinks that?
Yeah, you opened it.
Who really thinks that? But I'm telling you guys, it is absolutely true. That's a secret. By even watching and I said it's a good show because it's true. Just because it's true doesn't mean you should watch a lot of it. I even said the show Supernatural. Even by watching a show like Supernatural, and this is what we're going to be talking about in the covering. What should you, and I'm not telling you today, but what should you do if you go to a horror movie or your child watches a horror movie or your child is playing what? The Xbox. Violence after violence or horror. Some of those are horror things or murder things or slasher things. I mean, what do you do if that's coming into your home? How do you protect yourself? How do you close that door? How do you seal it? Even if it's not ideal, not every single one of us has 100% control of our spaces and places. But there are things to do, we have 100% control of what? Our free will, most of us, our body, our energy fields, our minds, our spirits. And so we can take action. But all that to say, I almost got pulled out of college. It turned out a mess. But I'm going to tell you something even deeper and even more interesting about frequency, because what do we know? We know that frequency is magnetic. So the frequencies you are putting out, the frequencies that are around you are going to attract what? More of the same, good or bad. So what else happened? So I started getting phone calls that they couldn't trace on campus from a stalker, Lori, telling me what color my underclothes and my pajamas were and telling me what they wanted to do to me. Terrified. And then it got more violent, threatening. And let's just say the FBI got involved. We ended up having a sting operation. And like I said, I almost came home from college. But interesting that that all happened in the same amount of time. I was playing with what? Demonic, dark, low frequency energy. And I attracted some pretty, not just some actual dark demonic entities, but people too.
And may I add to that? It seems like it was based in fear, you know, just all the demonic parts. But then when they were invited into your home and your roommate got involved, there was fear there, and that triggered a bunch of other things. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely. It kind of went from bad to worse. And once the fear kicked up, actually, that's a great point, because the demonic, or some people would say ghostly, but it was definitely more demonic. The demonic activity actually kicked up. I mean, to where the whole campus knew about it, and the dorms started being affected, and weird things started happening to everybody. And books started flying across the room, and then our room became known as the witch room. So anyway, that's my happy little freshman tale about college. But all that to say, who would think, just even though, and you guys have to remember, this is a world I walked in, and I still opened the door and invited it further in. So just really, really timely.
Yeah, what people would think is innocent isn't so innocent if you open your spiritual eyes, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And even you don't have to, like I said, when you're getting stalker phone calls all of a sudden, I don't believe that's random. I believe that was the energy that I was playing and putting out. And so I was manifesting. You know, we talked in a previous show, you guys can look it up and listen to it, but we talked in a previous show about, we attract, I always say we can only attract who we are being, what we are doing, what we are thinking, what we are feeling. And I definitely did that. But definitely, if you guys are interested, we do teach. It doesn't sound like you can teach how to wake up, but you kind of can, can't you, Lori? You can kind of share tips of how to wake up in that process.
And it's, a lot of it is being more aware and kind of knowing yourself a little bit more, but there's so much more to that. And some of the programs that you offer, like I'm taking the practitioner course, and that's an in-depth class in itself. But some of the other ones you offer with the Ultimate Awakening, why don't you tell the public about those?
Well, the Ultimate Awakening is just basically, it's like this network where people can come and they can listen to things about the paranormal and consciousness and mysteries and, kind of the stuff we don't hear in the mainstream media. We also provide that space and that place to ask, I don't want to say the dumb questions, but the questions that if you asked your mom, she would say, we need to get you to a doctor because you're crazy. If you ask your mom, have you ever seen ghosts? Because I'm seeing 3 of them in my room every night, she's going to be like, let's make an appointment. But, if you ask that in this group, not only do you get my experience, but you get, we have 50 or 60 people in there. Not everyone actively participates, but you get that, that community, and other people can come alongside you and say, this is what I know. And this is what I know. And this is what I'm learning. And we're all learning. There's a phrase I like to say, and I probably didn't make it up, but I like to say, nobody has a corner on the truth. And you know what? I certainly don't either. But I have a breath of the truth. I think I have a piece of the truth. So nobody knows 100% truth. We only know what we know. And sometimes we change our mind, but there's a lot that can be changed. There's a lot that can be known. And a lot of the same things that darkness uses, Lori, to bring about all this negative stuff going on, the other side, we can use for light and hope and to bring healing and even to affect things like, and you know this, you've seen it in our group. We even work together to affect weather and to change circumstances for a positive way in each other's lives using technology, using frequency, and just using what, Lori? Good old light and love, right?
Good. Yep, that's it, 528. We don't have that much time, and I want to, I guess, ask you what you would tell the listeners about the secret to everything that you would just really want to get across, and especially with the covering, because it's something brand new that you've never been released to do, and now you are. So what would you like to share with them?
The one thing I'd like to leave you guys with is if you have never studied spiritual warfare, spiritual protection, aura protection, it's time. And you guys, if you don't do it now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there will be a time in your life that you're like, I remember that crazy lady, secret to something. I sure wish I'd taken that class because I think I could have used it. Because you guys are probably going to see things like some of the gods come back. You might see giants come back in your lifetime. Everyone's going to start seeing, crypto creatures, Bigfoot and Dogman. Everyone's going to start seeing ghosts. You don't even have to have your third eye open when they're standing right in front of you. You can see them with your own eyes. So there's just a lot that's going to start coming down. And who is teaching us this stuff, Lori? Nobody is. So secrettoeverything.com. We'd love to have you. We'd love to get to know you better. Next week, we're going to be talking about feng shuiing your space and moving energy. And we hope you'll join us right here on The Secret to Everything with Dr.